どうも、アジです。今回もエルキュールポアロ、ロンドン事件簿やってきます。前回も新たな証拠、そして新たな贋作が見つかる中で、誰も彼もが怪しい状態となってきております。そんな中で新たな章に入り、今まであまり話を聞くことがなかったザカリアの方に話を聞いていくこととなります。ちょっと今アングル的にポアロの上に鳩が乗ってるような感じになってて、ちょっとクスッとできるような感じなんですけどね。では行ってみましょう。ザカリアさん、お久しぶりです。
Finally a face I can trust.
Everything all right, Poirot?
I'm afraid things could not be further from all right.
Don't tell me the famous detective Poirot is stumped.
Stumped? No. Perplexed? Oui. Perhaps you can be my perfect distraction.
完璧な気晴らし。何を読んでいらっしゃるのですか？
I may not be the celebrated doctor that my father hoped for, but I still like to keep up with recent medical journals.
And what is the latest discovery?
はい、コカインは南米に生息するコカの葉から抽出されるアルカロイドの一種です。最も一般的な形態は塩酸塩で経口警備または静脈内投与が可能です。ピーク効果は投与経路によって1から90分と幅があります。コカイン使用による心血管系への影響。コカイン使用者に最も多い症状は胸痛で、最も多い心疾患は虚血と急性肝症候群で、コカイン摂取のすべての経路で起こり得ます。その他の心疾患としては心筋炎、心筋症、不整脈などがあります。コカインは心拍数、血圧、心筋収縮力を高め、これらすべてが心筋の酸素需要を増加させます。入手しやすくなったことでコカイン使用者の数は増加の一途をたどっており、多くの人が潜在的な危険性を上回るコカインの良い効果を感じています。なるほど。ちょっと諸刃の部分もあるようですけどね。
This particular article is about the effect of cocaine on the user's body. I thought I liked to have a good time, but that drug, too much for me.
What makes you say that?
I wouldn't want my heart beating at the speed of a locomotive. Here, read for yourself.
はい。で、ムッシュ・エイルズワースが心臓発作を起こしてから彼にお会いしましたか？コカインとのつながり？
I haven't actually. I gave him my office telephone number and said he could call anytime, but not a peep.
ほう。
You sound surprised.
He probably wants to keep his health issues out of the public eye. Hence me offering to help, but he seems to be just fine, surprisingly.
ムッシュ・エイルズワースの健康状態を疑っているのですか？
Do you think there is a chance he could have faked it all? How those little gray cells of yours work sometimes. Amazing!
Please, my friend.
You're serious? Don't know why, but I suppose he could have.
可能性。
At this point, anything is a possibility. I think a visit to Monsieur Aylesworth at the Royal Society of Art is in order. Mademoiselle Babagnan, a pleasure as always.
Good morning,
お
gentlemen.
不意に現れたな。
I'm afraid my pleasantries are to be cut short this morning. I have a most pressing matter.
はい。ロイヤルアートなどと言ってますね。でも一応なんか話しかけることがでもないでしょうね。何
Good
にも。
morning, mademoiselle. My apologies for my earlier departure.
That's quite all right. Mr. Demir informed me of the facts.
The case has taken a direction I had not foreseen, and it now leaves me.
I will not stand here and listen to you wallow. How can I help?
何もない。
Merci, mademoiselle.
今はね。
That is all for now.
はい、じゃあ、デミールさん、まあ一緒でしょうね。ちょっと思ったよりは話が続いた感じがありましたけど。で、なんちゃらロイヤルアート、そちらの方に向かうことになりそうです。ちょっと心臓発作がうさんくせえ可能性というか、疑わしいというか、モーティマーのオフィス、ロイヤルソサエティ、オブアート。あれロイヤルアート。まあいいか。ムシュ・エイルズワースのオフィスだ。
Just a moment. I'm coming.
What a great commotion coming from behind the door. What on earth is Monsieur Aylesworth up to?
Ah, detective. What can I do for you?
はい、なんか取り繕った感がありますね。
Could you spare a moment of your time? If you are feeling up to it?
Why wouldn't I?
You are recovering from a potentially fatal heart attack. I would not want to aggravate or upset you in any way.
マドモアセル・コートスマイスが亡くなった晩、あなたは何をしていましたか？
Are we really going over this again?
It would help me clear up some discrepancies.
Very well. As I've said before, I was in the House of Commons addressing the bench, as you know. And then I was speaking with the reporter.
The editor, Nathaniel Dryden.
If you say so, at the news office.
Monsieur Aylesworth is sticking to his story. I did not expect that it would be easy to unsettle a politician of his experience.
はい、ムッシュ・デミールに連絡を取っていませんか？
And why would I? And why would I? Oh, to thank him for his help at the museum. Yes, of course. I've been meaning to send him a thank you gift.
One would think that thanking the man that saved your life would be further up your priorities.
I'm a very busy man, as I'm sure you understand. And I don't know whether I'd go as far as saying he saved my life.
On the contrary, had Monsieur Demire not been there with his extensive medical training and a man of your age, perhaps you would not be here talking with me today.
If Monsieur Aylesworth is not prepared to tell the truth, perhaps I can use his own pompous nature and guilt against him.
はい、尊大な性格と罪悪感を利用。
The nurse said herself that I had the heart of a young athlete. It'll take more than that to slow me down.
Well, I would not take that as a sign to start a sporting career.
はい、
Merci, monsieur.
I find myself in a most problematic position. My associate, Monsieur Hastings, is nowhere to be found when I need him the most. There must be someone else that I can call upon. Someone to fill the shoes of Monsieur Hastings. For the time being, at least. The obvious choice would be Monsieur Demire. But I wonder if he is suited to the task that is required.
はいはい、ちょっと意見の食い違いで別行動になってしまっていますからね。で、これでデミールが適任と言えるのかどうかとポアロが疑問に思ってるっていうことがもうそもそも適任ではないのではないか？はい。
Whatever you need.
もちろん急に終わった。
I
ちょっと
must
待っ
get back
て。
to my investigation.
何に対してのもちろんだったんだ今。パワにここ
You
で
need only ask.
何かあれば言って。あ、ちょっと変わったお願いなんですがね。
Go on.
I require a distraction. I promise you will come to no harm and...
Who am I to distract and from what?
Monsieur Aylesworth, I need to gain access to his office without his watchful eye.
Detective Poirot, preparing to cross the line of law.
Not cross, merely tiptoe alongside.
I assume you have already devised a plan?
A requested tour of the Royal Society of Art building should give me appropriate time.
then that is what I shall do.
はい、ここでババに
The door has been left ajar, exactly as required.
嘘でしょ。
I could hear Monsieur Ellsworth fumbling around behind his door on my last visit, and combined with his hesitation to open his door to me, I can presume he had something he did not want Detective Poirot to see.
はい、本当？ムシュ・デミールとの会話で私の疑いはますます深まりました。ムシュ・エイルズワースは心臓発作を偽造したのではないでしょうか。彼と話をしなければなりません。はい。と言いながら入ってきたのは話をするためではない。で、新聞などなどチェスセット、なんかいろいろ見れそうっすね。クイーンが足りんが美しいチェスセットだ。それだけ？はい。で、本棚。写真に関連する書籍で埋め尽くされています。写真。覚えがちょっとありますね。地球儀。このような家具には様々なお酒が置かれているのが一般的です。そうなん？へえ。で、ちょっと見えない模様ですね。で、望遠鏡とか。拳銃だ。引き出し。真実の解明まであと一歩。はい。ごめんなさい。銃器には注意しなければならん。特に鍵のかかっていない引き出しに入れたままにされているような場合は。で、これは薬莢じゃない、弾薬関係ない。なんかセットと思われるスプーン ICS と刻印が入っている。スプーンっていうのはこれは銃に対するあれですかね。ツールかな。これは失われたクイーン、重要な戦力となるものを無造作に捨てるようなことはあってはならん。倒れたクイーン。なんかメモには触れることなく終わってしまいましたね。ちょっと待って。びっくりが上がってますけど。2つつながる。チェスセットと床に落ちたクイーン。マニアックかと思った。堕落したクイーンは堕落したキングとほぼ同じ悲惨さです。堕落には変わりがないよね。で、チェスセットは倒されたと不審な挙動かな。それともよくわからない音かな。まあいいや。はい、違う。それとも、これが出る前から2っていう数字はありましたからね。木製のトントンという音、ガラスの型付き音。はい、違います。トントンという音、地球儀。あれやべえな、また始まってしまったな。チェスセットは倒れた。素晴らしい発見だ。なんて不器用なのでしょう。ムッシュ・エイルズワースはドアに応対する途中でチェスセットを倒してしまいました。めっちゃ焦ってたってことかな。倒したまま対応に向かう。いや、でもその前にもう一つがあったから、よくわからない音とこれか？違う。不審な挙動と、違う。やばい。よくわからない音と地球儀って結びましたっけ？違う。何かしっくりこない。で、地球儀とガラスのガタつき音？お酒が置かれているのが一般的っていう、そのガラスの音か。ムシュ・エイルズワースが地球儀を動かすと、中の瓶がガラガラと音を立てます。で、 動かされた地球儀、チェスセットを倒したまま。あ、違った。あ、じゃあ、不審な挙動だね。違ったね。何？よくわからない音。やばい。動かされた地球儀とチェスセットは倒されたの？わかんないな。尽くせまっちゃった。ムッシュ・エルズワースが本棚のそばで何か企んでいた可能性があります。やったね。おめでとう、ポアロ。でもなんか金庫気になりますけどね。他はもう見れないのかな。腰入れ。古紙入れ。証拠になるものを処分しないのは不用心ですが、さして驚くことでもありません。ということは何かあったってことか？何もないんかい。なんだそれ。じゃあ本棚なんか金庫がチェスセット何もできないのか。ちょっと本棚行ってみましょうか。あ、溝？溝なんあ、これ？見にくいな。床の溝。地球儀が置かれていた床には人が作ったであろうくぼみがある。さあ、またこれは結ぶ感じでしょうかね。床の溝と、本棚。何も言わない。何も言わないのか。で、本棚がまたアイコンが変わりましたね。家に帰ったら本棚や家の隙間をくまなく確認しなければならん隠し部屋があるのはほぼ間違いない。これは何を隠しているのか想像するしかないな。英国紅茶の邪悪で陳腐な香り。
Put your hands up and step away from there.
Monsieur, there is no need.
Enough of your phony pleasantries. Let's see what the real police have to say.
The first thing they would notice is the politician aiming his revolver at an officer while they are conducting official police business.
I'm sure they would agree. I have every right to protect myself from a foreign intruder.
If you were to lower the gun, perhaps we could discuss the situation we find ourselves in.
You may have authority in your own country, but not here. Now, explain yourself.
ここは慎重に言葉を選ばなければなりませんね。なんか対決みたいな。うわー、法務執行官であり、あなたの国の訪問者である人物があなたのオフィスで銃口を突きつけられている。ぜひ当局に通報してみてください。もしかしたら当局も興味を持ってあなたの周りを調べるかもしれませんよ。保険金詐欺の名目で心臓発作を装った政治家の話を聞けば新聞も過去のネタだと飛びつくでしょうな。当局。やってみな。
You don't know what you're talking about.
バーン。あれ？何？それが本当の話ならなぜ私はここにいるのでしょう。あなたの犯罪に犠牲者はいない。それはすなわちあなたがその件をここで終わらせるチャンスがまだあることを意味している。銃を捨てなければ次に何が起こるかわからない。そうしたらもう後戻りはできませんよ。本当はこれなんだろうな。後戻りはできませんよ。
Enough! I need a second to think about all this. How has it all come to this? No, it's not my fault. It's...
It is not too late. Your intentions were good.
なんだこれは。
Scotland Yard will look sympathetically at.
If you had just left that fool Hardwick to it, we wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have to do this.
I have done nothing but remain honorable to my oath to uphold the law. It is Monsieur's choices and actions that have brought us to this point. And he must accept responsibility for what is to come.
あ
Poirot, are you alright?
おちょっと寝てたわみたいになってる。
All the better for seeing you, Hastings.
I was worried I was going to miss him.
Your timing and accuracy could not have been more perfect.
What do we do now?
We take our leave.
And what about him? Will he be okay?
He shall be fine. Although I am not envious of the sore head he will awake to. Come, there is much to tell.
Behind the bookshelf. But I never.
え、なんだなんだ
Monsieur Dryden, how are you?
説得できたのかどうかもわかりませんでしたね。で、
Detective.
はい、なんか相棒って感じの人。
Poirot.
Yes, of course. What can I do for you?
マドモアゼル・ファークハーは今日働いているのですか？
She is, but not here, I'm afraid.
Do you know where she is?
She said something about heading back to the museum.
暗室への入室を許可していただけませんか？
For what, exactly?
Forgive me. I recently inherited a number of belongings from a deceased relative, including an undeveloped spool of film.
I'd like to help, but there isn't anyone here that could develop them for you.
I am more than capable, and I'll leave it tidier than when we arrived.
In that case, knock yourselves out. I've got a meeting to run to anyway. I shouldn't be longer than half an hour or so.
Pardon. Where has this confident and daring version of Monsieur Hastings been hidden?
We all have a hidden side. It's just our own choice of when to show it.
はい。で、
So
暗室、
our first step is...
Don't tell me there is something the great Detective Poirot doesn't know.
I must concede that photography is something I have little experience in.
そう。ここでも糸くず取るの？このアングルで？
Lucky I'm here then. We need to start with a tray filled with developing fluid.
用意するところから始めなって言われたのかと思った。始めなければ。
Next, pour the fixer fluid into another tray and then add the photographic paper.
I have a newfound respect for those that make such activities look so simple.
Let's just wait until we see the results. It shouldn't take long.
時間を賢く使ってこの部屋にはどんな真実が隠されているかを見てみよう。はい、待ち時間に見ようじゃないかってことかな。よくゲームでもこう現像とかあったりしますよね。照明スイッチ今現在で入れたりしちゃダメだよね、きっと。写真を現像するときは写真にダメージを与えないように消灯したままにしておく必要があります。なるほど。で、はい、帽子だけど、とりあえずまあいいか。ラジオ。音楽は手間のかかる仕事もよりはかどらせてくれます。いいですね。音楽があるっていうのはね。で、写真用紙、ギアの刃になってますね。特に写真の現像に使用します。で、インベントリに追加されました。で、これは写真プリントを作るためのものだと思います。ちょっと待てよ。その前にじゃあ、現像の工程はやっぱりやらなければいけないのかな。で、マドモアゼル・ファークハーが持っている帽子はマドモアゼル・コートスマイスが柄で被っていたものとほとんど同じです。やはりそのスタイルの帽子はどこかで見たことがあるような気がします。で、トレイ。これも回収じゃない？現像に必要な液体を入れるトレイです。のみか。で、なんか引き出し、こっちってことか。これか。シンクの下の戸棚。2つの発見物が、はい。 ラベルがありません。腹立たしい。どうしてこんな素人のような仕事ができるのか理解できません。ラベルぐらいつけておけと。ポワロ困っちゃうもんな。はい。適切な情報がないのにどうやって中身を知ることができるのでしょうか。いや、置き場所かもしんないよ。回収しちゃったらわかんないかも。その答えは私の目の前にありました。何言ってんだこの人は。寝ぼけてんのか。トレイ、やっぱりあとはこれか。現像液。これもギアの葉だな。写真の現像には欠かせない。インベントリーにアイテム追加。で、はい、現像液。写真用紙。ラベルのない瓶。ラベルのない瓶、現像液。はい。以上かな？ちょっと一応、見るだけ見てみましょうか。これは写真プリントを作るためのものだと思います。はい。で、なんかマーサイズデッドっていうゲームを思い出しちゃうな。写真。これは写真プリントを作るためのものだと思います。もしかしたら写真用紙が必要なのかもしれん。真実の解明まであと一歩。いや、あと3歩は必要なんじゃないか。なんだ？インタラクト？今の駅。あれだと思いますを言うだけですね。っていうことは、そういうことか。トレイの方に液を垂らす。現像液。現像に必要な液体を入れるトレイです。もしかしたら現像液のボトルが必要なのかもしれん。ボワラ。で、あとはヘイスティングス。本当かな？
Have you found it yet?
ラベルのないボトル。
You want the photographic fixer?
フィクサ
ー。And how would one know it from another?
It smells like ammonia. Handy, I suppose, when you can't see much in here.
はい。ビターアーモンド、青酸カリの独特な匂いがする。青酸カリまた出てきましたね。アンモニア、ムシュ・ヘイスティングスの言葉通りだな。マドマーゼル・ファークアーはマドマーゼル・コートスマイスを殺害したものと同じ毒を手に入れた。これは偶然の位置ではないはずだ。我々はマドマーゼル・ファークアーについて話し合わなければならないのです。
You've already been over this, Poirot. I don't want to argue.
I have no intentions of continuing our previous conversation. What we must address now is her potential guilt.
She didn't steal the painting, though. We know that.
Her guilt in Mademoiselle Court-Smythe's murder.
はい。その絵画の盗みとは別の殺人事件ですもんね。マドマゼル・ファークアーは殺人犯かもしれない。ドライデン氏はファークハー城が帰るのを見送らなかった？帽子？いや、ラジオは違うでしょう。ということは、それはなんか、
Merci.
あと一つ空白になってる何かってことでしょうね。そういうことか。はい、じゃあ生産か、フォトフィクサーでしょ。もしかしたらフォトフィクサーが必要なのかもしれん。論理的思考は常に勝利するものです。OK。よし、これで全部だと思います。
Oh. Is there a problem?
There shouldn't be, but there must be light coming in from somewhere.
Is that not the point of a dark room? That it will allow no light in to damage the photographs?
We need to find where the light's coming in from and damaging the prints.
You continue your work, and I shall find the curious light source.
はい、光のソース？入ってきてるかどうか。じゃあ 外でではないですよね。ここには明かりが差し込んでるような気配はないのだが。光？なんか出たり出なかったりですね、文字が。どこのことだろう。幻想に欠かせ、なんか光を思わせるものがないということは、自分の周りを見るには部屋を照らさなければなりません。なんだそれ。ここ？またこれなんかよくわかんない状態だ。何を押せばいいのかわからないっていう前のと一緒ですね。どこで戻るの？ちょっと待って。おーい。帰ってきてくれ。帰ってきてくれっていうか、何かを言ってくれ。なんかその適した場所を、もしかして押せてないってことかな。わかんないよね。たまに。なんかどっかに罰があんのかな。おーい、おーい。エンター？おー、外れた。で、どこだっけ？なんかここ、ありました、ありました。単に窓が塗りつぶされてしまっているように見えるだけで最近開けられている。ここに隙間がある。この窓は庭に面している。信頼できるハンカチーフは入射口の隙間を覆うのに最適だろう。信頼できる。覆った今。どうなんでしょうね。じゃあ、ヘイスティングスでいいか。
Monsieur Hastings, may we talk a moment?
何改まって。
I'm in the middle of developing these. Can it wait?
I'm afraid not.
我々はマドモアゼル・ファーカーについて話し合わなければならないのです。殺人犯かもしれない。はい。窓から暗室に出ることができた。なるほど。アリバイが砕けた。
Mr. Poirot, you are a genius.
意外と、あれっすね。ノーダメージだな。ドライデン氏は何も聞かなかったと言った？外に出たかどうかってことっすよね。同じじゃないの？ラジオで音をかき消した？
Mr. Poirot, you are a genius.
なんか意識が違うところにあるんじゃないかな。で、カルシャム夫人はファークハー氏がフラットに入るのを見かけなかった？それは似ている帽子？よかった。
That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn.
ダメだ。この目には心がない。
Look, this photograph is just about finished.
ほう。なんだろう。なんかまたさりげなく入ってる何かがあるのかもしれませんよね。で、何を触ればいいんだ。相変わらずこれがわかんないんだよな。何
It appears so.
And what has she got in her hand? That can't be the same cigarette case.
なんか持ってたっけ？
The cigarette case that was taken from Mademoiselle Farquhar's luggage on our voyage here. It appears Mademoiselle Farquhar had a much closer relationship with Mademoiselle Court Smythe. I would
ごめんなさい。
Oui, monsieur. Hastings, I must thank you.
For what? allowing myself to be enticed by Miss Farquhar's feminine nature.
For saving me from whatever Monsieur Aylesworth and his revolver had planned.
If it wasn't for me licking my wounds, you wouldn't have been there alone in the first place.
And if you were, and not at the Courtsmith estate, we would never have made such revelations.
もうお互いをちょっと称え合う感じですね。いや、奥さん、ここは私が払いますから、みたいな。
You are one of the most honest and authentic fellows I have met. You cannot allow a misguided moment of red-blooded male instinct to taint that.
You have never let yourself fall to the wicked ways of the fairer sex.
No. And that is a day I cannot even fathom.
はい、おーっと、じゃあ、結末探偵エルキュール・ポアロは
With
何
Hastings' help at the Courtsmith estate, something I would have liked to have considered, we now know the reasoning behind Mademoiselle Farquhar's brutal actions towards her own cousin.
はあ。トマセル・ファーカーが自分のいとこに対して残忍なはい。
The circumstances around the murder need no further consideration. But the location of the missing Benedette Magdalene still frustrates me.
はい。コートスマイス長が修復室に侵入する機会を得たのはなぜ？フローレンスはバルコニーでアイリーンのふりをした。ヨハンは口論になる前にアイリーンをかばった。アイリーンのふり。
A moment of peace before one's little grey cells must ponder how Mademoiselle Courtsmith made it from the museum with the painting in tow. Ah yes. Hastings had something for me. An invitation to Mademoiselle Courtsmith's exhibit. Even after the truths of her crimes and personal betrayal, Mademoiselle Warbeck still feels it within her for a final send-off. Perhaps Mademoiselle did not leave with the painting at all.
ダメだ、やばい、追いついてない。絵を美術館から持ち出すためにコートスマイス長はどんな計画を立てていた？アイリーンは懺悔するマグダラのマリアの絵をイブリンの絵の裏に隠したのか？アイリーンは自分の絵の裏に隠したのか？イブリンだね。修復室。That's not right! 違う。思わず自分の言葉で叱られてしまったわ。じゃあ違ったんですね。アイリーンは自分の絵の。
Poirot, there you are. What are you...
On this occasion, there is no time for pleasantries. We shall finally bring the mystery of the missing painting to an end. We must return to the scene of the initial crime, the Royal Edward Gallery.
さてやばいっ
Is
す
everyone
ぞ。
present? Please ask them to convene in the exhibition room.
Is there something you're not telling me?
All will be revealed.
これはちょっとなんか一気に行きたいところですね。
Monsieur et Mesdames, thank you for joining us here today.
What's this all about? Yes, my time is rather valuable.
I thought everyone was here to see the exhibition.
I'm all for looking at some real art, as long as it's not all hers.
I understand the frustration and hostility that most of you must feel towards her. For some, even...
これ自画像なのか。
Hatred, loathing, disgust.
Betty, please.
2回言ったぞ。
Even after everything, you stand here and defend her?
I'm not defending her. If anyone should hate her, it's me.
Perhaps you should move on.
In this room is where it all began. Or at least, that is how it appeared. We are all aware Mademoiselle Courtsmith was behind the painting's disappearance. But it was not a moment of greed that drove her. but rather a well-orchestrated plan that involved most of you tangled in her web of lies and deceit.
All right, we all know why we're here. Maybe you can speed it along a little.
At the Detective Inspector's request, I shall forego the series of events that led up to the theft of the penitent Magdalene painting. Perhaps a fitting place to begin would be with the death of Mademoiselle Court Smythe.
If that's going to get things moving.
You are all aware of the fire and murder that took place at Mademoiselle Court Smythe's loft apartment.
The fire that she started after having one too many.
That is where the difference between desire for the truth and the actual truth go their separate ways. Inside Mademoiselle's apartment was the penitent Magdalene painting, or at least a forgery, one of 4 produced by her own brush. The fire was set purposely in an attempt to destroy evidence and hide the true nature of her death. Poison.
あ、おっと、ここでなんかいろいろ喋っちゃうのかと思ったんだけど。で、原理画の肖像画となっておりますね。ちょっと待って。他、あれあれこれです。ああ、まあ、喋れるは喋れるんだ。じゃあ、とりあえず見ましょうか、これを。肖像画。マドマゼル・コート・スマイスが描いた自分の肖像画。このタイトルは彼女自身が信じていたほど正確ではないかもしれません。タイトルを知りたい。さあ、皆さん話を一人ずつ行きましょうか、イブリン。
You know where the painting is, and who killed Irene?
はあ、ここでウォーベック城は絵画の盗難でどんな役割を果たした？証拠の改ざん、アイリーンの恋人。秘密の関係。両方じゃないのか？改ざん。
Mademoiselle Warbeck, do you remember the words you used when discussing your career?
No, I mean, yes. You're taking it out of context.
On the contrary, Mademoiselle Court Smythe threatened your career by involving you in the theft. The exact context you described.
I wouldn't kill her, though. I couldn't.
You cleaned the key to the restoration room, did you not? You continued to deny your involvement with the deceased. A relationship that was nothing more than misplaced love.
You think I don't know that now? I knew it had been her that took the key from my pocket. But when I confronted her...
Behind bars, that's where she belongs.
Give it a rest, old man.
She can't speak to me like that.
Before you continue riding your high horse, Your Grace, perhaps one should consider one's own actions.
My actions? How dare you? You're making a mockery of me, the Church, and God Himself.
It is you that makes a mockery, and I am sure God will forgive me for saying so.
はい、それであればここちょっとホレス行きたいですね。今の流れから。
I have dedicated my life to serving God. I have no need to be involved in any of this.
いいえ。で、マウントジョイ司教はどんな罪を犯した？破壊された絵画、ホレスは購入した懺悔するマグダラのマリアの贋作に怒りをぶつけました。盗難、原価を売って利益を得るために贋作を依頼しました。こっちだね。
The pieces you had commissioned by Mademoiselle Court Smythe, which hang on your church walls.
Why are we even standing here listening to this man?
Has this got anything to do with, frankly, anything?
何警部補に保証します。司教と個人の関係は想像以上のものだった。ビジネスパートナーだったのです。 司教の行動がいかに恐ろしく残虐なものであったとしても、それを焦点にすることを許してはならない。なんだ？パートナー。
Mademoiselle Court-Smythe's forgeries would be hung on the church walls, while the originals were sold on the black market to lace your own pockets.
You have no proof of these accusations.
Porro, the penitent Magdalene.
How could one forget? We have already discussed one of the multiple forgeries, and found amongst your hidden collection the second. Mademoiselle Court-Smythe sold you a forgery that you believed to be real, and upon learning of its fabrication, you lashed out, destroying it. One should not allow oneself the arrogance to consider themselves the smartest in the room, especially when they have already fallen foul to another's lies and deception. I am sure theft and embezzlement are questionable enough in God's eyes.
はいはいはいはい。で、ちょっとなんか全員を攻め立てていく感じになりますね。モーティマー。
I know things got out of hand, but it was you that broke into my office in the first place.
入りましたが何かぐらいの。で、エイルズワース氏はどんな罪を犯した財産を守る法を執行する役人に銃を突きつけました。で、ムッシュ・エイルズワースは懺悔するマグダラのマリアの盗難に関与しており、保険金を請求するつもりでした。どっちかな？保険金かな？
There still remain one missing forgery.
これはパターンっていうことなのかな？ちょっと私の理解が及べてないからな。
The image of the honorable and distinguished gentleman that you present yourself as has gone on long enough.
It may seem like an alien concept to you, but we English, we take great pride in how we present ourselves.
はい。あなたは自分を病人として見せたいのですか？もしくは法の執行者に銃を向けない男として見せたいのでしょうか？贋作を購入し、その金銭的価値を保険で請求しようとすることに大きな誇りを持つ男。じゃあこれで。
How long are we going to entertain this man's twisted fantasies?
Poirot, can we move this along?
While searching the main hall for clues, a snuff box was found, full of cocaine. And after speaking with my good friend, Monsieur Demire, about the effects of cocaine on the human body,
Recent studies have discovered that the use of cocaine and other such stimulants can put a tremendous strain on the human body, including an increased heart rate.
Preposterous! I would never do that.
your heart attack became the perfect distraction, while Mademoiselle Court-Smythe was able to slip into the exhibition room and remove the painting from the wall.
Faking a heart attack is pretty low, even for a politician.
Monsieur Hastings.
Once the painting had been confirmed as stolen.
And Monsieur Aylesworth had bothered the detective inspector enough to show he had nothing to do with its disappearance.
He would get to keep the original and claim the insurance money. He was going to have his cake and eat it too.
I'm not going to stand here and...
You'll stay right where you are.
A stolen painting, timed perfectly with his crossing of the aisle in the House of Commons. All designed to raise his profile, just in time to announce his desire to be a prime ministerial candidate.
I wasn't doing it for me. The poor and the needy. I wanted to give them a voice.
I have never heard a more self-righteous claim for breaking the law in all my life.
How am I meant to help those that really need it unless I'm in a position that can really bring about change?
はい、ちょっと正当化、まあそういう匂いがもともとしてたっていう感じがありますからね。で、どこだ？今言いましたね。フローレンスの場所。なんでだ？ここ？
This is all going to make for some story.
はい、ファークハー長は絵画の盗難でどんな役割を果たした？で、交際についての嘘。マドマーゼル・ファークハーはマドマーゼル・コートスマイスとの関係の真相を繰り返し隠していました。贋作の制作支援、こっちでしょうね。写真を撮っていた。
Deals were hatched, forgeries were created, and promises were broken. Mademoiselle Court Smythe used a mask of deception and authenticity to betray you all. She allowed for you all to see and know only what was necessary to complete your part. Except for one.
As much as I'm enjoying this show, any chance we can get to who killed her?
You shall have to wait only a moment longer. As there was only one accomplice left, and perhaps the most important. Not only her aid in the museum, but in the construction of the forgeries. Mademoiselle Farquhar's deception began before I had even left the shores of Belgium.
You were part of it, the whole time.
Taking us all for fools.
はい、意外と簡潔に済んだな。で、ヨハン。
Haven't you caused enough damage?
さて、この人、クリスチャン選手はどんな罪を犯した？で、ジョージ、マドマーゼル・コートスマイスと秘密の関係を持っていました。トーナ、マドマーゼル・コートスマイスと新生活を始めるために、マダム・アレンの金庫から金を盗み出したこっちかな。両方とも言えるような感じしますけどね、トーナ。
Madame Hélène, the famous actress and performer, your story is one I learned with a heavy heart.
Look here!
When you overheard the conversation between your husband and Mademoiselle Court Smythe at the gala, your suspicions were confirmed.
I did everything to keep you happy, but it was never good enough.
It began with an infatuation, but turned into a relationship. With the money stolen from your wife, you planned on running away together.
So that's why you took it. You coward.
She manipulated me from day one.
初日から。
She used me. She used her.
Oh, just keep it shut.
Perhaps for once, you should listen to your wife.
はい。どうだ？ベティもこれ、なんと、ハートウィックもいけるんです
I wonder
ね。
how many other hidden skeletons are going to appear.
それ以上はない。まあ、セットだった感じがありますもんね。
I know you have a flair for the dramatic, but I do have a job to do.
ちょいちょい口を挟むのが担当っていう感じだったのかな。で、見る話を聞くことができない。もう最初からちょっと疑ってしまったアナスタシアは協力者的な感じになっているな。
It all ends here, where it began.
ドラマチックです。で、ヘイスティングス。
Poirot, the penitent Magdalene.
もうのみを言うだけか。そうなると残された仕事はそれのみだぜっていうことかな。じゃあ行きましょう。マリアはここなんでしょう。あれ違うの？ちょっと待って。じゃあどこだ？どこだっていうか誰だになるのかな。マグダラのマリアってヘイスティングスは言うけどあんたでしょ、悪い人は。
Congratulations! What slim chance you had of making it into heaven is gone now.
おめでとう言われた。全員と話した方がいいのかな、もっと今。
I hope you're happy with yourself. My political career is over.
全然聞いてなさそう。で、イブリン。
Deep down, I knew she never loved me, and it was all too good to be true. As Blake said, hindsight is a wonderful thing.
みんなあと一言ずつを残してるという感じでしょうかね。で、フローレンス。
This is all going to make for some story.
そしてヨハン。
And now I have nothing, thanks to you.
どういたしまして。
I wonder how many other...
あれ、同じですね。どうしたらいいんだ。イブリンか。自然の力の絵画、こんなところに。ポアロ、そこから行けるか。行けた。目の前の自然のカオスを見ながら穏やかに佇む人影。マドマーセル・コートスマイスは自分をそんな存在だと考えているのでしょうか。まさか彼女の作品からの裏を見つけようってこと。でもこっちはひまわりの絵画。画家フィンセント・ファン・ゴッホが描いた名画を解釈したものです。
Mademoiselle
終わった。
manipulated everyone. But that does not excuse the parts that you all have played.
Poirot, the murderer. Tell us now, or I'm marching them all down the station.
Of our suspects, all guilty in some form or other, only one committed the ultimate sin. Monsieur Christiansen, a lover, jilted and tossed aside from a life promised together. Mademoiselle Warbeck, another that was promised her heart only to become a second, caught in Mademoiselle's web. Monsieur Aylesworth, anger that a foolproof plan backfiring. Bishop Mountjoy, a third, sold the idea of an original painting, livid at the thought he had been tricked. Mademoiselle Farquhar, trapped in a partnership where you did not receive what was owed to you. All with motive, but lacking opportunity. Until... Is that right, Mademoiselle Farquhar?
いやー、大事なところでなんかフライングで押してしまったな。
Our true relation to the deceased. Cousins, standing to inherit her entire family estate.
You don't understand. It wasn't like that.
You decided to poison her with potassium cyanide, a chemical often found in photography development, via the cork of a bottle of champagne. Wearing an almost identical hat to the deceased, you were able to disguise yourself as her and be seen by the neighbor. Leaving her body lifeless in her own apartment, you tried to cover your involvement in both the forgeries and the murder by destroying any evidence. Incredibly clever. Your nefarious plan setting the fire almost tricked even I.
Did you really just praise her for starting a fire?
On the contrary, it was the deception behind the fire. A timer was used, allowing for Mademoiselle Farquhar to be seen in her office as she slipped in and out of the dark room window.
I didn't want to kill her, but she gave me no choice.
She gave you no choice. You planned and executed a brutal murder. She was your cousin.
A cousin that has controlled me for years. I couldn't escape her.
She held you captive? I did not see a prison cell in her apartment.
No, of course she didn't. Emotionally and financially, I was her captive. I was a struggling critic, but she taught me how to stand up for myself and get what I wanted, what I deserved.
You were aware of her scheme all along?
Not at first. I didn't know she was selling them on the black market.
But even when you did find out, you didn't stop.
There was always a reason I couldn't. And what money I did get, she would hold for me. I couldn't remain under her control anymore. There was no other way.
Mademoiselle, there is always another way.
All I see is the student becoming the master.
Detective Inspector, perhaps it is time that Mademoiselle was escorted to the police station. The truth has been revealed, and Mademoiselle Courtsmythe's murderer will pay the price for her crimes.
There is something you're forgetting, though.
If you think for a moment that the location of the original painting has slipped my mind.
Go on then. Where is it?
はい。ひまわり、原理画じゃないですか？はい。違うの？全部の裏見りゃいいのにな。自分の肖像ではなかったんだ。じゃあ、自然の力。
In this very museum. If the original painting was to find its way into her portfolio, it would be returned to her after her exhibition has concluded. Meaning,
It would be delivered to her on a plate.
exactement. She prepared one of her picture frames and made sure it would be in the restoration room.
What on earth is he doing?
You've got to be kidding me.
It would take too long to remove the nails from the frame and hide it, surely.
The nails were sawn down, creating the illusion of being used correctly, when in fact the backboard was easily accessible. Hidden perfectly behind what Mademoiselle Court-Smythe deemed to be her masterpiece.
I never doubted him for a second.
Messieurs et Mesdames, the penitent Magdalene.
Well, detective, you've solved both the theft and murder. I am rather impressed.
はい、もう関心どころかびっくりというか、わあ、一気にいったなっていう感じがしますね。
Finding the murderer and solving two thefts would have been far more impressive.
Two thefts? You already have another case?
You have forgotten Mademoiselle Farquhar's missing cigarette case.
Oh, of course. Do you think Miss Farquhar lied about it going missing after all? Perhaps it really was worth something.
Mademoiselle Farquhar is far from an honest woman. Lies tripping from her tongue at every turn. But if our motive was indeed to fake theft and claim the insurance money, she would surely not have let it lying where Mademoiselle Babagnan claimed to have found it. Mademoiselle Babagnan's motive is now clear. How she pulled off such a cunning theft still eludes me.
ちょっと待って。本当にごめんなさいね。ババリンが盗難？
Something Hastings said has my little grey cells fired up. Nothing is ever quite what it seems. I suppose we are all forgeries or counterfeits in some form or other. Could Mademoiselle Babagnan have pulled the wool over my eyes in a similar way? I must return to the evidence from the ship with this new perspective.
ちょっと待って。なぜババ人情はシガレットケースを盗んでそれを返した？で、彼女は自分が捕まることを知りパニックになった。私の調査をしている彼女はこのままでは船を出られないと思ったのでしょう。いや、違うな。パニックというワードがババ人にはしっくりこない。フローレンスからガラへの招待。マドモアゼル・ババ人はロシアの家宝を手に入れるため美術館に入る方法を求めていました。
It is you that should be happy, mademoiselle. With no effort at all, you were able to save the day with barely a second thought. You turned a stolen heirloom with a thief and a victim into nothing more than a misplaced item.
A case of being in the right place at the right time.
I do not believe in coincidence. You were where you were meant to be. Had you not boarded when you did, you would likely have not been invited to the gala at all. or been able to be within touching distance of so many beautiful and historical pieces, including the silver mantle. One thing I have learned during my time here in London is that people portray a version of themselves, one to be seen or be met, and another that remains hidden from the world.
What are you trying to say, Detective?
That there are some that wear a mask of authenticity. That perhaps, under different circumstances, I would have had the pleasure of meeting a different Mademoiselle Babagna.
Will you be leaving London now?
There are a few small matters to settle before I leave. Mademoiselle Farquhar is now in the hands of the Scotland Yard, where she will stand trial for her crimes.
You really do believe in the law, don't you?
If you do not believe in the law, madness and lunacy will ensue.
And everyone should be punished for their crimes?
I believe that we should be held accountable for our actions. No one man is above the law.
Or woman?
And you, mademoiselle? Are you to leave London?
There's nothing more for me here. I hear Paris is quite beautiful. Perchance our paths should cross again.
Perhaps, under those different circumstances.
I look forward to it, Detective.
おー、なんかドラマチックですね。理解が及んでいないとはゆえ。すごいな、クールな感じがした。
Oui, monsieur. The cases are closed and Mademoiselle Farquhar will shortly be behind bars.
What of the others?
Judging by the detective inspector's glare at Monsieur Aylesworth, he will not be escaping the law. And Bishop Mountjoy. Once news spreads of his connection with the black market, I would question his attendance come the Sunday service.
I was hoping at least someone would get a happy ending.
Monsieur Hastings, you have been by my side throughout this investigation. Without you, the guilty parties, would not be facing the consequences of their actions.
I helped where I could, but it was mostly you. I know that.
What you may not know, and I would kindly request you keep to yourself, is that I consider myself somewhat of a...
Loner?
I would not go as far as that. But it appears you understand my sentiment.
Good thing I was around to save you from a gunman.
I fear I shall not live that down.
I'll maybe hold on to it a little longer. Not many can say they've saved the great Detective Poirot.
The great Detective Poirot. As much as I admire your formality, I think we should look for something more familiar, accustomed to our new relationship.
Our new relationship?
I have seen the benefit of friendship. Connecting with someone that can be trusted and loyal. Someone that shares an authenticity not only in themselves, but in their beliefs.
And that's me. Detective Poirot and his trusted friend, Arthur Hastings.
It does have a certain charm to it, n'est-ce pas?
おー、ちょっと待って。あー、びっくりした。はい。ということで、まあ、後半、なんだろう、節々のワードのちょっとつなぎ目が私には、あれだったのかな、理解が及ばないを繰り返すのもちょっと申し訳ないんですけどね、至らなかったっていうのが正しいのかもしれません。で、ちょっと今音がすごく大きいんだけど大丈夫かな。結構この言葉をつなぐ操作という感じだったんですけれども、ちょっとなんかちぐはぐ感がありつつ、それはそれで味として楽しめた感じがあります。またこのポアロ、ちょっとこの間別の、デモ版もやったんですが、 ミステリーというものにハマってる部分がありますので、また遊んでみたいなと思います。今作は結構なんだろう、本当不思議な感じのするミステリーアドベンチャーでした。はい、ということで皆さんはどうお感じになられたでしょう。私としてはできればポワロとそしてババニがいつかまた対峙すること、そしてその対峙がどういう何かをもたらすのかっていうのを楽しみにしてみたいなと思いました。はい、ということでちょっと大きな音で私の声がもしかしたら消えてるかもしれないんだけれども、このままエンドクレジットは流れていきますが、一旦締めさせていただこうと思います。今までご視聴いただきありがとうございました。もしかしたらまだ、見切れていない部分があるかもしれません。もしよかったらチャレンジしていただければと思います。では今回で名探偵エルキュール・ポワロロンドン事件簿最終回とさせていただきます。今までご視聴ありがとうございました。また別のゲームでお会いしましょう。では。